Good, you're inspiring me. It's good we're learning. You know, you become
Okay.
dull when you learn.
So we're up to some days.
Okay,
We got up to the Mishnah yesterday,
we're getting there.
and really, as Machabusa pointed out, that's the beginning of the last parak. Even though it's a different parak, but it's introducing the musagim, the concepts that are going to be in the following parak about the yichusim, and it gives you klolim over here.
So we're like 2 weeks away.
Yeah, the Daf Yomi already is into Bava Kama.
No, they started. I think today they started.
Okay.
I think the seeing was Shabbos.
Yichus, right.
So I saw somebody today. He says, I tell him, well, we're like 12, 13 back behind. He says, you're not going to catch up in bubblegum. He says, we got bubblegum, you don't catch up.
Okay, if everyone's calm, so we'll stay
And
calm.
he said, we're right in the middle right now, so we still have another three and a half years to go. So plenty of time to catch
Okay.
up.
In terms of percentage, we're probably about a 0.4% behind. Don't get nervous.
Oh, yeah, we're not. Yeah.
Okay, the Mishnah on the bottom of Samach Vavam is this. Kol Mokom, Yesh Kiddushin, Ve'en Avera. Not hold the they're going to be up. I missed it up. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, again. Kol Mokom Sheyesh Kiddushin Ve'en Avera. Avlad Holech Achar Azachar. So we'll talk about all these four cases. There's going to be four klalim over here of what the child is as a result of a union of two parents. So the first one is everything sounds good. That there's a Kiddushin was tofes, Kiddushin is chal, and there was no baby involved. The parents got married. Sounds like a regular marriage. The Mishnah is going to even say, in case of regular marriage, what is the child? Is the child like the mother or like the father? So it says it goes according to the father, and Mishnah explains Zeh. What is that referring to? Zukahanas Levi of Yisraelis, Shenisu Lagoin Levi of Yisrael. Regular case, good Jewish marriage. The husband might be a Kohen Levi Yisrael. The woman might be a Bas Kohen, Bas Levi, Bas Yisrael. So what is the child? You go with the father. As we know, that if someone wants to know if he's a Kohen, he sees if his father's a Kohen. If his mother's a Kohen, it doesn't make a difference. The child goes according to what the father is. So the klal is if there's a Tvisas Kiddushin, yeah, for sure, good Kiddushin, and a good Kiddushin means that it's chal, and there's no Avera involved. So the child goes, the yichus of the child goes according to what the father was, the zohar, the father. And it says what? That a Bas Kohen means a Bas Kohen. A Bas Kohen, a Bas Levi, a Bas Yisrael that married a Kohen Levi Yisrael means no matter what the woman is, no matter what the husband is, the child is what the father is.
Does the Gemara say anything about if they don't get married and have a child? And what would they
I think also that would be so.
So
I think it will be so. Also. I think so. Because it's Tofis Kedushin. It was Tvisas Kedushin that there is. I think so. But I didn't see the Gemara yet. The next cloud. That was cloud number one. Next cloud. I guess different color. Try different color. Kol Makom. Sheyesh Kedushin v'yesh Avera. If there wasn't a Avera involved, but it's not such a big Avera that Kedushin is not Tofis. We have 5 Krisos that there's no Kedushin at all. But this was an Avera. Wasn't an Avera. Yesh Avera. But Yesh Kedushin. That Kedushin was they got married. Let's say they got married, and Kiddushin is chal. There's an Avera involved. So then the child is going to be like the parent who is worse, the worser parent, the defective parent. What is an example of that?
What did you say?
You're right. Zu almana lekoin gadol, vusha v'chalusa lekoin hedio, mamzer s'nusinu l'Yisrael, vas Yisrael mamzer l'nasim. That's the end of the second category. So the case of a Kohen or a Kohen gadol marrying somebody is not allowed to. A Kohen gadol had relations with an almana. A Kohen had relations with a grusha, or Yisrael, regular Jew, married a mamzeres or nesina. Nesina is the same thing as mamzeres for our purposes. Or the opposite, that a Bas Yisrael got married to a man who's a mamzer or nasin. In all these cases, the child is like the defective parent. So let's start easier. The last cases are easier. A mamzer, if the father or the mother is a mamzer or a mamzeres, the child is a mamzer. Not because it was a creation of a mamzer. To create a mamzer, it has to be a union which is a chayv krisos. But if chayv lavan Yisrael marries a mamzer, it's not a chayv krisos. It's not an issa kares to marry a mamzer, but it's allowed. So So it's also to marry the mamzer. But it's chayv lavin. The fact that the child is a mamzer is not because the union was such a terrible union that it caused a mamzer. It's because I call it hereditary, like my Chavrusa called it. It's hereditary that the father was a mamzer, so the kid's a mamzer. The mother was a mamzer, as the kid is a mamzer, whichever one.
A kohen marries a grusha. They have a child, and the child's a chol.
Right.
Okay, can you call him up to the Torah as
Not a
Yisrael?
Yes.
As Yisrael, you call him.
Yes.
Okay, so
He's not a kohen.
gets Malia and
He's not a
everything.
kohen.
He's
He's
not
not
a
a
kohen.
kohen. He lost all his skuna. He's not a married grusha.
He's allowed to marry a grusha.
He's not a kohen.
He's not a kohen.
I know.
And he can marry a regular Yisrael girl?
Yes.
No problem.
Yes.
That's a son of
But
a
the
kohen.
children-
Son of
A kohen who
kohen.
married I know someone who married a kohen
A
who
kohen
married a
marries a,
grusha.
yeah, that's what I'm talking
And now he can't get Aliyah anymore. He divorced her. They forced him to divorce her.
So he could get an idea.
So you're talking about a son who's from a kohen and grusha.
That was the
about
question.
the
That was
son.
that was the question,
about.
right?
I was like, okay, I didn't
You
hear
mean,
about it.
you mean he can if he gets rid of the wife, then he goes back to his.
The kohen doesn't. A kohen who did avera to marry somebody he's not allowed to doesn't lose. It doesn't become chalal. He doesn't become nifsal from kuna as long as he's married. So we don't allow him because we want to force him. We take away his rights because he's. But he
If he has
doesn't
a
become
child in
pasal.
that time,
The
with
child is a chalal.
and if he
Forever.
divorces
Forever.
and then remarries a kosher marriage,
Where he's a puzzle.
Yeah, but then the kid is
continues to
kosher.
have kosher children. No, so you can't
So
fix it.
again, the last cases were a bit easier because it's called. They see that it's hereditary, so to speak. That the reason why the child's a mamzer is because his father or mother is a mamzer. The first case we would have might have understood differently. When a kohen marries a grusha, the child is a chalal because his mother. Here it says because the mother is a chalal. Because the mother became this chalal, he goes with the pogum. The mother was a grusha. He doesn't become a gorish. He doesn't become grusha, but he gets the psul of his mother. Not that he becomes the same as his mother, but the Gemara looks at it that he does become the same as his mother because it seems the pshat in the Mishnah is because when his mother, the grusha, married the kohen, she became this chalala. She becomes a chalala. When the woman who has relations with the kohen, she's not allowed to, she becomes pasal. And that now the child also has the same soul as the mother has. And what's other case? All these cases are that the mother is the problem, but the Mishnah doesn't say the reason is because you go with the pogrom. You go with the one that has the problem, the defect. The mother is the one who had the defect. If there be such a case, theoretically, that the man will be the defect, maybe you also could talk about it, but it doesn't say it in the Mishnah yet. The cases of mamzer and mamzeres, that's very easy to understand. The one is the defective one. That's the one that the child earns, gets his yichus from. What would say a word for yichus? What would be the word?
Lineage.
His lineage, okay, so that was the second case. The first case is where there's no avera, you go with the father. When there is an avera, you go with the pogum. The third case, another color over here. V'chol mi she'ein lo alav kiddushin. Oh, wrong line. V'chol mi she'ein lo alav kiddushin, aber yesh lo al acherim kiddushin. That there's no Kiddushin Tofes in this union, but she's a woman that there is Tfisis Kiddushin. She's a kosher Jewish woman, and she could marry people. But this particular person, she wasn't allowed to, and there was no even Kiddushin Tofes, which means what we call Chayvik Krisus. It was a union of Chayvik Krisus. Avlad Mamza, that's also part of the statement of Avlad Mamza. Here are the case of Avlad Mamza. The first case was you go after the Zachar. Second case is you go after the Pogrom. The third case is the case of Mamza, which is another way of saying the result of a union of Chayvik Krisus, the kids of Mamzer. Not because it's hereditary, because that was the product of a Chayvik Krisus. Here over here, you can say that the mother's a kosher woman, the father's a kosher man, but the union is not good because they're Chayvik Krisus. Someone married someone have relations with a sister. So there's no Tfisis Kiddushin between them, but there is Tfisis Kiddushin for this woman. She's a Jewish woman. She could marry somebody else. But this union is not Tfisis Kiddushin. So the product is a Mamzer. The case before that, the child was kid was a mamzer, and the second case wasn't because of the union; it was because he's hereditary from the one who's the parent. Either the father was a mamzer, the mother was a mamzer, not because the union was a chayv krisus. But the third case is the product that resulted from such a union is a chayv kares. That's called a rice means the chayv krisus, and the kid is a mamzer. And the fourth category.
This is all mother.
What?
Surely that's a rice. Not five mothers.
I'm sorry?
Isn't it capital punishment for
No, it's not.
the rights?
No, there are some that are chayiv skill, but not all of them. And the chayiv creases, even though it's not chayiv Mrs. Bezdin, is also the Kiddush Mamzer. Someone has relations with a sister. It's not chayiv Mrs. Bezdin. It's chayiv chorus. All the chayiv creases is already a blood mamzer. The ones that are chayiv Mrs. Bezdin. That it's even worse. Not only chayiv chorus, they even chayiv Mrs. Bezdin. But that doesn't have to be so serious in order to be a blood mamzer. The kids are mamzer if the parents are chayiv creases.
So today, a guy and a girl that just don't get married and they have a child, what's that child?
He's kosher. He's kosher.
Kosher child.
He's a kosher. He's kosher. If the place, okay, well, of course, if she's a nida, she didn't go to the mikvah, so he's a ben nida, which also is a kosher, but it's called pagum. Like there's a problem, there's some defect over there, but it doesn't come into the category of mamzer.
If they don't get married, you figure she's not going to.
Yeah, but Maisha has a trouble. She went to the beach.
And now the fourth category. Call me she'ein lo Allah v'lo alachem kedushin. Avlad kimos.
So they can go on the date and they don't get married.
Oh.
This is the fourth category. Call me she'ein lo Allah v'lo alachem kedushin. That is a woman that doesn't have ability to have kedushin with anybody, and the reason is because she's not Jewish. She's a shivcha or a goya. The child born, if a Jewish man had relations with a shivcha or a Jewish man had relations with a goya, the child is like her, which means that he's a goy, or an evan, whatever the mother was.
Oh, yeah, now we go back.
Right.
The religious status is from the mother. The
Right.
tribal status.
It doesn't say the other way. If the mother was Jewish and the father was a man who doesn't have any tfisas kedusha, the opposite case, it doesn't say it in the Mishnah, and that we so that also would be true that goes according to the mother,
Right.
and the kid will be Jewish, and that there's a question if it's a mamzer or not, and we pass with the kid's not a mamzer. If a goy ve'ever abo bas Yisrael, avlad kosher. That's machlokas. Some of that is a mamzer, we all that's not a mamzer. So again, those are the four categories. The first case, that's the psak, is going to be zohar or pogrom or mamzer or like the mother. And the first case was that there's a kosher marriage. This is Kiddushin, no Avera, then you go with the Zohar. The example being Kon Levi Yisrael. The second case was there wasn't Avera involved, but it wasn't such a serious Avera that's no tefisas Kiddushin. Kiddushin is still face, but there wasn't Avera involved. So then, Pogum. And the example given, simple example will be the father's a mamzer or the mother's a mamzer. There was an Avera. They weren't allowed to get married. And the kid is going to Yarshin, inherit the lineage of the one which is worse, whichever one has the defect. The third case was Chayvi Kores. So the child is a mamzer, and the fourth case is that the mother is a goya or a shikha. So the kid is a goya or a. That's the Mishnah. The Gemara starts and has a kasha on the first klal. Kol makom sheish kedushin says that what you go with the zohar. So any kashas? Do you have any case that is a kosher marriage that's without an avera and you don't go with the zohar? So the Gemara found the kasha. They say Shimon Lakish, Rav Yochanan. Klalahu, is this an absolute rule? Here goes kasha number one. These colors have nothing to do with the color code of the Mishnah. It doesn't have the Mishnah four colors just to show that there are four categories, but from now on, it's nothing to do with these. The rest of the colors coming up has nothing to do with the color code of the Mishnah. Okay. If I'd have another 8 crayons, I would make different colors. Here it goes more or less. This is a kasha. The pink is a kasha. The green is an answer. Then we'll have some sub kashas in yellow and sub answers in blue. That's more or less that's the old color code. That the pink was a kasha and the green was an answer. So we'll try. I did this while we were learning because I couldn't figure it out. So it helped me a little bit. I hope that helps everybody. The kasha is ger shenasa mamzeres. Is a ger allowed to marry mamzeres?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. What is a child?
Well,
Mamzer. That he's allowed to marry. A Yisrael is not allowed to marry mamzeres. A ger is allowed to marry a mamzeres, but the child is going to be a mamzer. But this Gemara gives us talks to us as if we know everything. We know all the facts. The Gemara talks to us as if we know all the facts. and just we're gonna juggle. We're gonna juggle now.
Fit them into the column of the Mishnah.
What?
We know the facts. We have to fit the facts into the column of the Mishnah.
Right, but the Gemara thinks we know all the facts. That the Gemara is going to be juggling a lot of facts. If we know all of them, let's juggle now. But me, I'm taking out from the Gemara the facts also, and they have to juggle it right away. Like that's not the regular way to learn how to juggle. First, you have to get each ball.
Yeah,
and then you start
You know what
juggling.
the facts are.
They have to know the facts.
The
The Gemara wants us to know the
Gemara
facts.
is based on everyone officially learning.
We're right behind you,
Mishnah.
Rabbi.
You know,
I'm not sure if everything's in the Mishnah. There are some things in the Mishnah here. I'm not sure.
Your grandson knows all the
And I'm not sure if
Mishnah.
I'm not sure if everything's in the Mishnah is coming up. Maybe some of them are Marum, some are Mishnahs, but the more things we know all the facts. So that's the Gemara's first kasha. That the first law says if there's a kosher marriage, that's mutter, that the child goes with the father. And here it says that a ger that married a mamzeres, which is allowed to, yesh Kiddushin ben avera, avlad alachachar pogrom. And this he brings here at the Tanya, the Abraisa, it's not a Mishnah. He says it's a Tosefta. Okay. So it's going to bring a brisa that the ger is not a marrying mamzeres, but the child is going to be a mamzer. Ger shenos mamzeres, havlad mamzer divrei Rav Yossi. That's the kasha. So the Mishnah says a klal, and it's not true. That's why it's in pink. That's a kasha on the Mishnah. The answer is Amalei. So Rav Yochanan answered Rish Lakish. Mi sabas masis Rav Yossi, masis Rav Yudi. There's machlokes. She also brought down Rav Yossi, but Rav Yudah argues, and he says that the child ger lo yisam mamzeres. Oh, he says differently. He says that he's not allowed to. Rav Yossi says the ger is not a married mamzeres. So we had a kasha that it's a kosher, but everything says the kid should be able to go with the father, and it goes with the pogrom. The answer is it goes according to Rav Yehuda that Taka he agrees that the kid's a pogrom, but there is an avera involved. It fits into the klal number 2 of the Mishnah. The Gel lo yisam mamzeres. Memela yesh kedushin v'yesh avera avlad alach pogrom. That it fits into the second klal of the Mishnah that there is an avera. The kasha we thought because of Yossi holds that there's no avera. If there's no avera, it's klal number 1. The answer is it goes according to Rav Yehuda that it is an avera. The ger is not allowed to marry mamzera, so it fits in the klal number 2, which is very nice. They're allowed alach pogrom, and since the mother is a mamzeres, so the kid is going to be a mamzer.
The Avera is against the ger.
What's that?
The Avera is against the ger.
But the ger is not allowed. We both of them. The ger is not allowed mamzeres. Mamzeres is not allowed to marry the ger. I think both ways. I mean, they're doing the union as an avera. Probably it's also the opposite. If it would be a mamzer with a gioris, I think it's all the same. That the question only is if it's a legal marriage or not. So if Yossi holds that it's legal, so it's against the klal of the Mishnah. And the answer is that the point of view that's with the klal of the Mishnah, not klal number 1, it's klal number 2. Klal number 1 was that it's a mutter marriage. Klal number 2 was that it's a isser marriage. So point of view that fits into klal number 2, no kasha. The why it does have a little problem. The nisanye. Why doesn't it say it in klal number 2? Klal number 2 gave examples. If you go back to the Mishnah, don't get confused with the color code over here. But klal number 2 was, let's make it smaller. Klal number 2 is the yellow one over here. That is which according to Rav Yehuda would be a case of ger mamzeres. They're not allowed to marry. The kid is program, very nice. But it says it gave examples. Amar l'kohen gadol b'shol chus l'kohen hedyet mamzeres and asin Yisrael. How about mamzeres and asin l'ger? Doesn't say it. Doesn't say it.
So it's not mentioned.
Was not mentioned. That's what's kasha ben Sanye. Why doesn't it say it? Let it say it. The answer is kol mokom. Where's that? Tana kol mokom. They say from that it does say kol mokom. The mission says kol mokom. Whenever there's an avera, so it's true. It doesn't say it in the when it enumerates examples. It doesn't say it, but the kol mokom is enough to include the unspoken cases also. Just remember this answer. This kol mokom the sefer lasuye. It's going to be later on. The Gemara is going to be very excited about this.
This thing means it does say it.
Let it say it.
Let it say it.
That's a kasha. The answer is kol mokom is coming to add it on. It's a reboot. It says kol mokom any place. So the kol mokom is coming to be marba, and it's coming to be marba. But this case of the ger that married a mamzeres is not allowed to, and also the kid is going to be public. Good. Everything's good. Iba is saying another teres to the kasha. What was the kasha? That the Mishnah is against. It says a klal. The first klal, number 1, that said that if it's a mutter marriage, the kid goes with the zohar. The kasha was that Rabbi Yossi holds that a ger is not allowed to marry mamzeres, a mutter marriage, and the kid is a pogrom. Goes with the pogrom with the mamzeres. So another teres to the same kasha. Iboy say Mudolam Rabbi Yossi, we could say the Mishnah goes according to Rabbi Yossi. The conscience is against the Clark. The Tana Ezo Zo Lemute, that the Mishnah, besides saying Kalamokom, in column number 1, it says any place that it's mutter, so the kid goes with the Zohar. It says Kalamokom. But then it also says Ve'ezo Zu. So the Gemara is going to make that the Ezo Zu is always going to be a miyut. The Kalamokom is coming to be Marba, any place. That's like broad. And then there's a restricting factor that it says Ve'ezo. What is that? So when it says, and this is the cases, Ve'ezo is coming to say these are the cases, not other cases. So the Gemara is going to look at the Ezos to be a limiting factor. Just for fun, maybe let's make that the red. Ve'ezo, so that's going to be a limiting factor. And then it's going to be again Ve'ezo, so there's going to be a bunch of Ezos. Okay, whatever. I should have done it. Not the Ezo, but Ezo. Okay. So anyway, that's the Gemara so far. We had just to sum it up so far. We had a cloud. Whenever there's a good kosher marriage, this child goes after the father. It also said enumerated examples. Kohen Levi Yisrael married Kohen Levi Yisrael. Then it had a second cloud when there's a marriage which is Issa marriage, but also it was Tov's Kiddushin, but it was Issa marriage. Over there, it goes with the Mordekasha that a ger to marry a mamzeres is mutter, and the din is that it's pogum. So there are two ways to learn. There's way machlokas if it's mutter. Rabbi says it's mutter. Rabbi said that it's usher. Everybody holds that the blood is pogum. According to Rabbi, that fits beautifully into the second cloud. That there's an avera, and the kid goes with the parent that's deficient. That's defect. And it fits very nice into the second cloud. And even he puts in a little bit more oomph to it, that why doesn't it say? Because it's included in the kol mokom. The kol mokom, these words kol mokom is coming to be marba, not only the cases that I'm going to say, mana and grusha and mamzeres and asina, but it's also coming to be marba more cases, even the case of the ger that married a mamzeres, that he's not allowed to, and the child is going to be a mamzeres. So the other Teres Gemara says really goes according to Rabbi Yossi, and it's against the Mishnah's cloud. But the Ezozeh, that meant to be mamai, that meant to exclude that the klal is not 100%. In general, whenever there's a mutter marriage, the kid is going to be like the father, but there is an exception, and the exception is going to be Rabbi Yossi's case that again is not allowed to marry, is allowed to marry a mamzeres, and still the kid doesn't go with the father. The kid is defected. Okay, so we got through that. If we continue. So I hope that I'm right. I put that in parentheses. And we're challenging the Ezozu. Ezozu. Lemute. Zu something. It says in the first case, a mutter marriage, the kid goes according to the father. And it said in examples of a Kohen Levi Yisrael married a Kohen Levi Israelis. And Rabbi Yossi says that the fact that it says these examples means to exclude. And these are the only examples. The Gemara seems to take it that if you say the cloud, and then you said, what is that referring to? Ezo, which is the cloud? This is the cloud. So that means that this is the only cloud. Or this is the cloud only refers to these cases. And the Gemara says, you're limiting it too much because there are other cases that also fit into the original cloud that a mutter marriage, the kid goes like the Zohar. So I put it in parentheses because it's attacking this terrace. We just said, Tana, we said this thing about, what do I want to do? We said that this Tana Eza, these words, Tana Eza Zu Lemute, the Gemara is challenging that terrace. You're saying that when it says Eza is coming to exclude only what I said, not other things, they are conscious. These conscious in yellow are going to be now that there are things that do fit into the original cloud. That if it's a mutter marriage, the kid goes like the Zohar. You're saying that this cloud is only limited to the examples that I said, that a Kohen Levi Yisrael married a Kohenes Levi or Yisraelis, the kid goes with the father. What's the din? A cholol. We said a cholol is the child born of a union of a Kohen that was married somebody's not allowed to. Like if one married a grusha, so the child's a cholol. Is a cholol allowed to marry a Yisrael? Bas Yisrael? Yes, a cholol is allowed to marry Bas Yisrael. the Yesha Kiddushin, the Inabera, and the klal is true. The Gemara holds that child is going to be a challah. If the father's a challah, the child's a challah, even though it's a mutter marriage, and but the kid is a challah. But if it's a girl, it's a challah. The child is like the father. So now you limited it too much. This fits into the cloud. The cloud was mutter marriage goes like the father, and here is a mutter marriage, and it goes like the father. But you said a second ago that you limited the cloud only to the ezozo, only to the example given that it means Kohen Levi Yisrael, Kenes Levi Yisrael, but it's not true. You limited it too much. This is only attacking the terrorists that said that the ezo is coming to limit it only to this example.
When we said komakom, that opens it up to everything.
And then ezo
Everything
closes it.
that's like that.
Right, and then
like a cloud.
right.
And then when it says ezazo,
It's limiting it only to what it says.
only to those things and not anything else,
Right.
even if it's like that.
Right. So you're saying contradicts. You're saying kol mokum, you're saying ezo. So the Gemara is going to get. The Gemara is eventually going to get to that the kol mokum is coming to be marvelous something, and the ezo is coming to be might something. But at this point, the Gemara just heard that the ezo
All or
limited
nothing,
to all or nothing. Right.
Yeah, okay.
So that the Gemara is asking, you're limiting it completely. It's only what it says. The only case of going is only going to be Kohen Levi Yisrael, Kenes Levi Yisrael. This is another case of a mutter marriage, and it also goes with the zachar. The yesh Kiddushin ve'en avera, havlat halacha achar zachar. So it fits into the cloud. How come you limited it only to the case of the Kohen Levi Yisrael? Halakasha. You can get out of that. The Mishnah holds like of the story of Yehuda Svirule that holds that the child is taka kosher. Yeah, we had that a page ago. That a cholol that marries Yisrael, we hold that the child is a cholol. But this is what Lashon of the story of Yehuda said yesterday or 2 days ago. He said that when Yisrael mikvah taro the chalolim, that if a cholol marries the bas Yisrael, the child's not going to be a cholol. So, if so, it's good that it's not in the cloud. It's a mutter marriage, and the child doesn't go with the father. The child is mutter. So the Gemara fit the Mishnah to be true that the cloud is limited to the example given. Kasha, not a kasha. The opposite. Is Yisrael allowed to marry Halala? Halala was a child born of Yisrael Kuna. So she's a Halala, a Kohen is not allowed to marry her. But Yisrael is allowed to marry her. So it's a Mutter marriage. Desh Kiddushin, Vein Avera. And what is a child? Says no, that the child is kosher. Yisrael is allowed to marry Halal, and the child is kosher.
Kosher for what?
Kosher to marry a Kohen, not a Halal. The Halalos went off. So again, the klal of the Mishnah is good. What are we doing now? We got into a little rut. We had a klal. The klal is very nice, but the Gemara had one problem with the klal. Because of that, we said that the klal is not a klal. The klal is only limited to the one case that it says, or the cases that it says. Kohen Levi Yisrael, married Kenes Levi Yisrael, then you go with the father. Otherwise, the klal is not true. So it's not much like taking the klal and making that as opposite of the klal. It's not a klal. It's only these particular cases. Everything else is against the klal. And the Gemara is asking, no, the klal is very good. This case is true. This case is true. This case is true. So the first one, the Gemara got out of that it's not so simple. After studying the holes, that the klal is not true. So that's good. We're trying to find that klal is not true. That's why we're supporting those that say that the klal is not true, because we're saying only when it says the enumeration, the ezer. But this kasha, everybody should agree to that Yisrael is allowed to marry a halala, and the child is not a halal. So which means that you go with the father. So the klal is true, and you said the klal is not true. The Gemara answers, so now we're getting to what Lev Yaakov said. That we're not saying that it's only limited to what it says. Kol Mokum is a reboy, Ezo is a so there's going to be something that's coming to include, something coming to exclude, and you have to figure out yourself. So it's more like it's not such a cloud. Don't ain't made them a cloud. Even though it says a cloud, don't learn from the cloud. It's not exhaustive. The cloud is not exhaustive. The exception is not exhaustive. That's the Gemara's answer. Then the Gemara says, "When the sanye behead, why not say it? Why does it only get reboy? Why doesn't it say it openly?" The answer is we should lo masni because it wouldn't be able to say it. It would be too long. If it have to elaborate very much, if we want to give this example of Yisrael Shenasa Halala, because Hechinisli, how should the Mishnah have read? Kohenes Levi of Yisraelis v'Halala Shenises Lakon Levi Yisrael v'Halala. I'm sorry, Shenises Lakon Levi Yisrael. That's what I should have said. The Mishnah says, Kohen Levi Yisrael to Kohenes Levi of Yisraelis. That's what it does say. And it says over there that any of these unions, the child goes according to the father. And the one is saying that it should have said beferish also that a halala could also be there. You could have said Kohenes Levi of Yisraelis for halala that married the Kohen Levi of Yisrael, because when the halala marries the Levi of Yisrael, the child also is kosher. So why doesn't it say that? But the Gemara says it couldn't have said that. Well, if you would have been short and concise, what would you say? You put in the word halala. Kohenes Levi of Yisraelis v'halala shenisa is le. Now, if one only would have said Levi of Yisrael, it would have been true. That cloud would have been true, but it's not true because you want to say Kohenes Levi of Yisrael is v'halala shenisa is to a Kohen Levi Yisrael. It's not true because the halala surely cannot marry the Kohen. That's the issue. That's the issue of the rights to marry. So therefore, halala Kohen Yechazia is the halala allowed to marry Kohen. That's why he couldn't have said it. The Gemara asked another kasha, which I think this is the way. There's another kasha now. These yellows are kashas on this yisod that it says ezo lemute, that the first klal of the Mishnah is limited only to the example that it gives. Otherwise, the klal is not true. So we're looking for that to attack that terrace. We want to find that the klal is true. That if there was a marriage which was mutter, the child goes according to the father. The Rabba Bar Bachana is Rabba Bar Bachana's name. What does he say? Dam Rabba Bar Bachana Rabbi Yochanan. Mitzvah sheni shenasa mitzvah rishona v'no shlishi havi. So we know about the din of a mitzvah means a ger, who was a mitzvah, and he converted. So he's a ger, but there's a limitation. There's a restriction on a ger mitzvah more than other ger. Other gerim, they married a lot of married Bas Yisrael, but a ger, a mitzvah or a domi, even though he converted, but there's a restriction on that he can't marry a Bas Yisrael until the third generation. It says don't push them away too much. So or so Dorshlishi is mutter. The third generation is very mutter to marry a Bas Yisrael, but the first two generations are not mutter to marry. Now, what if you have a marriage of a mitzvah and a mitzvahs of different generations? Mitzvah sheni, a second generation mitzvah that married a first generation mitzvahs. What's the child going to be? His father is a second generation. His mother's a first generation.
It'd be a second.
So why you say go according to the? You're saying that he goes according to the.
That'd be according to the mother.
If you go according to the mother, it'd be a second generation. But here he says, it says that the child goes with the father, and since the father was a second generation, we don't care that the mother was a first generation. But no shlishi, the child's already a third generation. He's allowed to marry him. Why? Because you go with the father. So that fits with the cloud. It fits with the first original cloud, that if there's a permissible marriage, because a lot get married, the mitzvah sheni mitzvah teacher is wonderful, there are a lot of married, and it says that, and the cloud would have been that it goes with the zachar, and it's true. So again, the Gemara is asking that you said that the cloud is not true. You limited with the words of the Ezeh, you said that the cloud is only limited to examples given, but it's not true. This is the case, but the cloud is true. Now, Mr. You want to say something? So this would be the kasha on the terrace. It's all asking on this terrace that limited the klal of the Mishnah only to the case that it says. The only case that it says Kohen Levi Yisrael, Kohen Levi Yisrael is not true. There's another case, mitzvah sheni and a mitzvah rishona. The kid goes with the father. Very nice. The answer is once again, Tana Kol Mokum Devrei Shalasu. It says the Kol Mokum is coming to say that it does. So we're not limiting it only to the example given. There are more examples, but the fact that it said they said the Ezeh that it's not a complete cloud, there are exceptions. What was the exception the Gemara found? The case of Rav Yossi, that again marrying a mamzeres is a mutter, but the kid is going to be a mamzer. Okay, the Gemara is more cautious. I think I made this in the color of the original. This is again this is attacking the Mishnah's. Now we're attacking the Mishnah's cloud. Till now we were attacking the Gemara's teretz. This was attacking the Ezeh. The Gemara said two things. There was a cloud and there was an Ezozo. And the Gemara made a big deal out of Ezozo, that the cloud is only this. And then the Gemara had conscious on that. The Gemara had to answer. And some of them said that the Gemara is coming to Mimarba. Now the Gemara is attacking the cloud again. The original cloud, if the mutter marriage, the kid is like the father. Another attack. Ravdimi Domar Sheni Havu. Ravdimi over there holds like Kishol said, that the mitzvah and the mitzvahs, he says you do go according to the mother, which means the problem, the one which is a bigger defect. So the father was a second generation mitzvah, the mother was a first generation mitzvah. Rav Dimi holds that the child is going to be a second generation. You go like that, you go like the one who's more pagum. So
Even though there's no Avera.
what?
Even though
There's no Avera, right? There's no Avera. and you go with the pogrom, and it's against the Mishnah. The Mishnah said that when there's no avera, the klal is that you go with the father. So again, he's going to say, okay, Tana Ezo is lemute. We'll say that Ezo is coming to limit the klal, which is the same as the Gemara said in the first kasha. Gersh Nashim Mamzeres is a kasha. If you hold that it's asa. If you hold that it's mutter, I'm sorry, like I said, that's mutter, and it's against the Mishnah's klal. The answer was Tana Ezo lemute. Once again, we did the same trick. Tana Ezo lemute. Another kasha. The Ika the Chesha Avrohom and Amr Yochanan. Bumos Allah Achar Azachar. This guy will Allah Achar Azachar. We'll see this later on Amud Beis. Rabbi Yochanan said, Rovin in the name of Rabbi Yochanan said, this is talking about Goyim. You have to know sometimes amongst the nations what the yichus of the nations are, nothing to do with Jews. And the Gemara is going to talk about, let's say, a Kanani, those Sachai called the Shama, in the 7 nations, you're not allowed to let them live, you have to kill them, and you have a child. You want to know, is he a Kanani or not? I think there's another example, Amaleki. You want to know if somebody's Amalek, are you supposed to kill them? So, what's the yichus of this kid? Amaleki married Mitzri. And the child, what is he? So there it says, we'll see this soon. Not a Gemara is ignoring this point. This point that I didn't highlight is not the subject right now. The yichus of nations of the Goyim goes according to whatever the father is. If they're from 2 different nations, there are 70 nations. Nowadays, nations, but the Gemara recognizes 70 nations, like it says in Parshas Noach, and you always have to go with the Zohar. If you want every one of the Goyim nowadays, the Chorah is one of the 70 nations. They might have been mixed up many times over the years, but it always goes with the fathers, Ben Achar Ben, until the 70 nations. Anyway, it says that whatever the father is, that's what the child is. But that's not our subject now. This Gairu, that if the nation, that these Goyim, they converted, and they married, and the father was a ger from one nation and the mother was a ger from a different nation, you go according to the one which is a bigger problem, which the Gemara is going to talk about examples like that. We'll see those examples.
Neat guy means
The Goyim from the nations converted, two converts.
a Jew.
They became Jewish.
They became Jewish.
But one is original Mitzri, let's say one is original Kanani. Let's say you want to know if they're Kanani, so the child's a Kanani or not. So you want to know if the child's a Kanani. So you have to know the mother, the father, both of them are Gerim. Is the child? I'm making a mistake. I'm making a mistake. What am I talking about?
You're saying there are 2 Gerim.
There are 2 Gerim.
One is from a Mitzri and one's from a Canaan.
Right. No, so that doesn't make sense to me. You have to know over there Canaan. This guy.
Then it'll take less generations for the child to be.
Right. That's good. That there is the necessity would be very good. The case of Mitzri, Adomi, Ammoni, those that are not allowed to marry a Jewish girl, even if they're a ger, like Mitzri, only the 3rd generation. Ammoni, for all generations, the man, the woman is mutter the first generation, mutter right away. Ammoni v'lo Ammonis. So that's very good. So here it says that if you're talking about the Gerim, you want to know which nationality they're from, which also has halachic ramifications. So then whichever one is worse. There's a bigger defect. Which one will say examples, Mitzri, Ammoni. So what does the Gemara want from this? The klal you said is that if it's a mutter marriage, you go according to the Zohar. And it doesn't say that. Here it says a mutter marriage. These 2 gay married, they're mutter to marry. And it says you go with the one which is worse, against the klal of the Mishnah. Again, how do you call this? The standard answer, you take out the answer. Tana ezezu lemute. The Mishnah says that the klal is not across the board. So it's whatever you need. If there's a kasha, whenever you need an exception, say ezel. But if you say that it's part of the klal, say the kol makom. Kol makom is coming to be mar, but ezel is coming to limited. The Gemara doesn't like this. And what's the kasha now? Hi, my. So I didn't get this at all, but my Chabris explained it to me very simply. The Gemara is going to be pretty long now. What the Gemara is going to do is going to go through the whole Mishnah, or not the whole Mishnah, the first 2 cases. And till now, we didn't make it so extreme that the Kol Mokum must come to be Marba something, and the Eza must come to be Mamayit something. But now the Gemara is taking it that this Kol Mokum, we're excited about it now. It's not just a teretz. We're saying that every Kol Mokum must come to be Marba something, and every Eza must come to be Mamayit something. And there's 2 cases. We're talking about only the first 2 cases. We're not going into the 3rd and 4th case. So the first case was when there was no Avera, that the give goes with the Zohar. There's a cloud that's coming to be Marba. The Kol Mokum is coming to be Marba something, and Ezel is coming to be Mamayit something. Then there's the second cloud. It says Kol Mokum when there is an Avera, so it goes with the program. But there's an exception also because Ezel, it gives them examples, and those examples are limiting, not always. And what the Gemara is going to ask is, Can you go to the Mishnah and tell me what the Kol Mokum is Marba, the first Kol Mokum, and what the Ezu is coming to be Mamai? And then the next one, what is the Kol Mokum coming to be Marba, and what is the Ezo coming to be Mamai? That's what the Gemara, that's the pattern of the Gemara. The Gemara says, 4 lines from the bottom, Hi Mai, how could you say this there is now? It means really we're back to, we started off with 2 teresim in the beginning. The Gemara, the Kasha, when Gersh Nasam Mamzeres, we had 1 teres that's Rav Yehuda, and 1 teres what is Rav Yossi, and the Ezo is coming to be Mamai. And the Gemara is going to analyze the Mishnah according to both of these 2 original terusim. And the Gemara starts, if you say the Mishnah is Rav Yehuda, then the Mishnah is very nice. Kamakum de Reisha Lasuya Yisrael Shenasa Chalala, Ude Rabba Vabachana, and Ezozu Lamute Rav Dimi, the Ravin. The first Rav Yehuda means it's pretty much, I think it might be clear in the color code now that according to Rav Yehuda, you'll have Kol Mokams that are coming to be Marba, and there are going to be Ezos coming to be Mamai. Can we find them? Kol Mokum de Reisha, Kol Mokum de Reisha. Means it says in the Mishnah Kol Mokum that it's a kosher mutter marriage, you go with the Zohar. And more than just the case that it says. More than the case that it says. What are going to be the cases? The Kol Mokum la Suye. What did the Gemara say over here? Kol Mokum de Reisha la Suye Yisrael Shenasa Chalala and Rabba Bachana. Here's Yisrael Shenasa Chalala. Yisrael Shenasa Chalala. Sorry. Yisrael Shenasa Chalala is here in the yellow. And we said that the yellow was the case that the cloud of the Mishnah is good. And the blue answer, Kol Mokum de Reisha la Suye. Very nice. The Gemara said that we need that the Kol Mokum of the Reisha is coming to answer something. And also, Rabba Barbachana also, there was also a kasha that the yellow kasha was that it fits with the cloud of the Mishnah. And yes, we said, Tana Kol Mokum de Reisha la Suye. So we had 2 blues over here. The 2 blue answers are Kol Mokum de Reisha la Suye. So that's fine. You have a reboot from the Reisha of Kol Mokum. That's the words over here. Kol Mokum de Reisha la Suye. Yisrael Shenasa Chalala, and also Rabba Bachana. Fine. And how about the Ezu? Is Lamute, Rav Dimi and Ravin. That was the 2 kashas over here, the 2 pink kashas and the 2 green answers. Tana Ezu Lamute. There was a kasha Rav Dimi, had a case that the Klal of the Mishnah is not true. And there was also a kasha from Ravin. This was Rav Dimi and Ravin. Both these kashas were that the Klal of the Mishnah is not true, and the 2 answers were Ezu Lamute. Everything's good so far. And we continue the Sefer, the second case. We turn a page and we get Kol Mokum the Sefer Lasuya Ger Shenasa Mamzeres. The Kol Mokum of the Sefer was Rav Yehuda's big deal. That's why I said in the beginning we should hold on to this one. I think I underlined it over here. Here it was. Kol Mokum the Sefer Lasuya means Rav Yehuda is a case which is the second category of the Mishnah. The second part of the Mishnah was when there is an Avera, you go with the problem. And it says some examples, but there was an example that it didn't say. And that's the Kol Mokum is coming to add this case of Ger Shenasa Mamzeres, that it's not, it's an illegal marriage, because if those are not allowed to do it. And that's also in the safest cloud is good, that the program. So we have shot in the first cloud, the Kol Mokum and the Ezeh, and the second cloud also, the Kol Mokum passes. There's something to be marked from the Kol Mokum. But according to Rav Yossi, there's nothing to be marked from the Kol Mokum. Rav Yossi says that this is a illegal marriage. So I'm sorry, it's a legal marriage. The Ger Shenasa Mamzeres according to Rav Yossi is mutter to marry. So it's not it's not the second category, it's the first category. And he was kind of the first category, but he doesn't have anything to be marked in the second category. Ella Yam Rav Yossi, Kol Mokum the Reisha Kedamor, and everything's fine. The Reisha is good. We had a Kol Mokum, we had an Eza, everything's good. It's coming to be marked, it's coming to be Mamai. But Kol Mokum the Reisha Kedamor and Ezazu also Kedamor. We explained everything already. Kol Mokum the Sefer Lasuya Mai. That's the Gemara's kasha that the Kol Mokum of the categories 2 is not coming to be marked by anything according to Rav Yossi. And the Gemara's answer is, just in short, very nice. But according to everybody, the Eza of the second category is not coming to be marked by anything. All the Gemara had, the Rav Yehuda over Rav Yossi is category number 2. There's something to be marked from the Kol Mokum. But the Gemara continues, but there's nothing to exclude from the Eza of the second case. So don't get so excited. Even according to your I think Rav Yehuda is good. Rav Yehuda, Eza, Zed, the Sefer Lamali, he also doesn't have anything to exclude in the second case. Means we said the second case was when it was an illegal marriage, that the kid is pogrom, and It doesn't exclude anything. There's nothing to exclude. I did the Tana Reisha, Tana Sefer Ezezeh. Achanami, I did the Tana Reisha Kol Makom, Tananami Sefer Kol Makom. So the Gemara doesn't make a big deal out of it. There are going to be some exclusions. There are going to be some inclusions. Sometimes the Kol Makom is coming to tell you more than my cloud, more than the examples I gave are also true. Sometimes the Ezeh is coming to exclude some of the other examples that are not written over here. Sometimes yes, sometimes not. And everything's good. So what we'd have to do after all the learning all this Gemara is to get out the halachas that were said, but the Gemara, like I said, the juggling part. The Gemara is juggling with everything. But the Gemara understands that we know all the halachas, and that's what we'd have to glean out of the Gemara to be able to get the klala. But in general, we have the Mishnah that said that if it's a legal marriage, we go with the Zohar. We had Machlokas case, that there's a case which might be legal, and it's not included in the Mishnah, which would be a ger that married a mamzer. It's a legal marriage, but the kid is going to be a mamzer. I think we pass like that. So that would be against the klal of the Mishnah. We have many other details also. I'd like to make a summary, but at this point we can go further. So now we go back to a klal that we said before. Gufa. Gufa. Kiyasa, this now we go into the thing we didn't even talk about before. I just mentioned it, and it wasn't even highlighted because it wasn't the subject. Amongst the Goyim, if you want to know whose lineage he is, this was the case to know if he's a Knani, if you're going to kill him or not, or Maleki. So, who is the lineage of a Goy? Who does he take after? So it says, Kiyasa Rabba Namr of Yochanan, the Umas Allah Chachar Azachar. And this part is not our subject right now. And this guy, we'll get to that soon. But so far, the case of the Goyim. The Umas Allah Chachar Azachar. If you have two Goyim that are married and they have a child, who is the lineage of the child? My Umas Allah Chachar Azachar, what does that mean? That you go to father, Kiddushin, the din is that you're not allowed to have an evet from Goyim, but you can't take an evet from the 7 nations because you're supposed to kill them. The pasuk in Parsha Shoftim says, if you do war, so you can take the children to be avodim, but from the 7 umos, so you have to know if this kid's what is his yichus? What is it? So it says, what if one of the nations that married a Canaan had relations with a Canaanite woman, and they had a child? Is the kid considered a Canaanite or not? So it says he's not. You're not buying for an evet. We don't say on that because you go with the father. In other words, you go with the father. You don't go with the mother. The mother's a Canaanite. The father is whatever. So you're not. The kid is not considered.
Canaanite is the Shavumos.
What?
Canaanite is one of the Shavumos.
Right.
Umos.
Anybody else.
Besides the Shavumos.
Right. Anybody besides the Shavumos. So you go according to the father, but he's not considered a Canaanite, which you have to kill. From those who live amongst you, that live with you, you can buy from them. The Gemara sees over here that even though they're living amongst you in Eretz Canaan, Eretz Israel, Eretz Canaan, so the Toshavim, the Gemara seems to say, is that they are Toshavim, not that they were born here. The son of somebody who lives over here, but not that he was born over here, which would mean that he's a foreigner that married a local, and their son you're allowed to take for a nephew, which would mean that since the father is not a Canaanite, the son is not a Canaanite. Now this one is a mistake. This evet should be Canaanite. This one is a mistake. They say, I'm sorry, it's a mistake. It should be Canaanite. Yochalav Canaanite. Shabal Shifcham and Umos. Behold, pain. Sha'ata Rishoy Liknoso Bevet. What if the father is a Canaanite and he took a wife from a different nation? Are you also going to be allowed to the child? Are you allowed to take, or is he considered a Canaanite? So it says no. If they gave birth in your land, which means the Alida means the mother. Rashi says that the one that says Alida means the one who gives birth. So if the mother gives birth, you may take that child because the father was not from Canaan. You go with the father. So here Rashi says, it seems to be 2 times that the Gemara makes it Russia to say that you go at the one whose mother was a Canaanite does make a difference. But if the father is a Kanani, then it is going to be Yosef. Rashi says that he lives over here. He lives over here because I don't get the Rashi exactly, but he says that the father had been from Canaan and he married a woman from a different nation, and the child came back to live where his father is. I don't see how in the word so much that he lives here, but not that his mother was born here. Not that his
When
mother.
when a man marries, he brings a wife to where he's living.
Okay,
Therefore, the
so
child is
and it's
born
not called
here.
it's not called Olidu Baratzechem because the mother's from someplace else. The mother's so it's called Gon Baratzechem. So you're not about to.
No, the
Ma-
father is going
The
about.
father is the Kanani, and the son also is living,
And the
in
son is
Eretz
no-
Canaan.
And the son is no Lepatzah.
and the son,
There's no Lepatzah.
and therefore,
The son is what? This is only no
and on
Lepatzah.
the other, we're saying that we want to have the really coming to Darshan that the father is a Kanani is us. You're going back, I think, to its father. The father is a foreigner, then it's mutter. But we want the case, even though the mother is a Kanani, it's mutter. But that's the no. And on the other but we want this part. We want the Loman Agron Baratzechem. That's considered. That's the case of the father being a Kanani. So Rashi says that the father was a Kanani. He went someplace to marry a woman, and the kid was born. He wasn't born over here. Being born, they're born where the mother is. And then he came back to live where his father is. So whatever the drush is, you go with the father. There are two psukim over here to say that this child born of two different nations, you go with the father. If the father is a Kanani, the kid's a Kanani. If the father is not a Kanani, he's not a Kanani, even though the mother is a Kanani.
Is that not from the price?
Yes, Kiddushin. Yeah, the whole thing's a brisa. And then the brisa continued. This we did talk about before. This just now wasn't really our subject when it came in, and we're now going to the part which we did mention before. Is Garu. So you have two Gerim from two different nationalities, and now we want to know what the child is going to be. I shall explain this Gemara now. It's going to talk about those Jewish converts that are still restricted who they're allowed to marry. A regular convert can marry anybody, but there are some Mitzri, Adomi, Ammoni, Moavi that they're not allowed to marry, even though they convert. It's a great thing that they should convert, but not that they're allowed to marry Bas Yisrael now. So now the question is, what is the nationality of the child? So here it says this guy who made that too small, bigger, 2 lines before it spreads. This guy, what is the case? Another brings in a side factor that I might not have thought of. That Ammoni v'lo Ammonis, Moavi v'lo Moavis. That from the Gerim of Ammon and Moab, only the male are limited to marry into Jews, but the females are mutter. That was a famous story. Ammon Moab, that Rus was mutter. She's from Moab, Rus Moabia, but there was no issue to marry her because this doesn't apply. So here one wants to know, what is the case? And child is born from a Mitzri father and an Ammonis mother. And what are we going to say? You go with the Pagum Shebishnayim, my Pagum Ika. It says you go with the Pagum, the one is more defective. There is no defective. Ammoni below Ammonis. There is no defect. You go with the mother. It sounds like both of them are Pagum and you go with the worst one. So I would say that you go with the father then. Would that not be true? Is that what it says? There's no pgam from the mother. And you say that he's a Mitzri. I think that's what it would be. In this case, I think, I'm not sure if I got it right. A Mitzri married an Ammonis. The mother is not considered paguma at all. And therefore, the child would be a Mitzri.
But if at least second generation, right? He doesn't, he's not exactly that.
Oh, so yeah. So, but he'd be a Mitzri and he's second generation. Okay, so and his son will be third generation. But his yichus is not, you're not going to say the worst of both of them because the mother's not bad at all. The mother's not a paguma. But I think that the halacha means that it means it would be a mitzvah. You go with the father. Ba'amoni shenasa mitzvahs. The opposite case would be where both of them, I'm not sure, but let's read it together. The father's an Ammoni, the mother's a mitzvahs. So both of them are problems. Both of them are problems. Ammoni's a problem. That if the son, if he's a boy, right, the third generation is mother. So I didn't get exactly. Is Zachar Havi?
If
the boy is a boy that's born, then Shadye Abbas Reidi Day. Then we say that it's worse if he's going to be. What are the two choices? If he's an Ammoni, then all generations is Asa. If he's a Mitzri, then it depends only two generations is Asa. Third generation is what already. So we're going to say that he's Ammoni. Because it's to be an Ammoni than to be a Mitzri.
Right. Oh, it's never. Can never
Right,
come.
Ammoni's never. And in the Keva, but the girl, Shadi Abbasradi da, then it's worse to be a Mitzri than to be an Ammonis, because Ammonis is mutter.
Anyway.
What? Right away, she's right. So you have, well, Shadi means throw him, means consider him that. So you have a family that the father's an Ammoni, the mother's a Mitzri, and have boys and girls. So the boys are Ammonim. The boys are Ammonim,
So the
and the girls are Mitzrayim.
because they get the worst problem, they get the worst end of it.
Right. Whatever makes them worse. It means they have both genes. They get both genes. So the Ammonis gene doesn't affect her.
But this
But she also has a
wedding
Mitzri gene.
this wedding is permitted in the first place, even though he's not.
Yeah.
He's allowed.
Ammoni,
Ammon is allowed to convert, but
and they cannot marry a Bas Yisrael, but they can marry Gioris. There are all these things. They're not allowed to marry Mitzri Adom. They're not allowed to marry Ammoni forever, but they're allowed to marry Gioris. They're not allowed to marry Bas Yisrael. So they're allowed to marry mutter marriage. But what is the child going to be? So here it says the pogrom shebeshneim. So whatever is going to make the child in any defect that affects them more, the child is going to get that gene. So I'm saying like the Ruchani genes. So if the father's an Ammoni and the mother's a Mitzvus, so the boys are going to be Ammonim, and the girls are going to be Mitzvus, that second generation. You have the same
I mean,
family.
they're not affected by the
Same
moment, but they are
They're
affected.
affected by the Mitzvah part.
The same family, the girl will be able to marry.
No, she's also going to be defective, but she'll be less defective.
Less defective.
She'll be a Mitzvah. The boys will be Ammoni. And the case, in the other case, how did we go? The Mitzvah married an Ammonis, so the kids will be a Mitzvah. I think the mother said that's not called one is more problem than the other. Does Rashi say like that? Just to see if I got it right.
Oh, 3 generations. That's the
The only once they convert, we don't care what nationality they came from all the other nations, but only Ammoni and Mitzri. She says, it's much better. I think you said it right. Even Mitzri, she knows Ammonis, and it says that the Vlad, Vlad, Achar, Mitzri, and he's also my Pogomika, but Sadaim. Yeah. It says it's true. The thing is true that the father's a Mitzri, the mother's an Ammonis. So it's true the kid is a Mitzri, he gets the worst end, but not that it's called the worst of both. The mother doesn't have any problem because she's Ammonis. So I think Rashi says like that.
Is this set different than marriage because we say Kalgam like the Khan, or is that?
I think so. I think so. That the reason why they're not married is because they're not Kal Hashem is not called gay. When it says the Yabov Kal Hashem, it means from birth. But a Gioris is mutter. So the Ammoni, the Mitzri, the Adom, all are married Gioris. And it's mutter. But the question is what the child's going to be. So here it says, Pogrom Shevish.
And if you don't say Calgary, we call, so they're not allowed to marry anybody?
I can't be. I forgot. I can't write. Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay, that's as far as I got. I think. That's as far as I got. Yeah, that's as far as I got. Second wide line.
We're doing Sunday, no?
Shir Shalom. Okay, one second.
Go up to Sunday.